And we are live and alive once again with Larry Johnson. Larry, my good friend, how are you doing?
I'm well. Always good to see you every Tuesday.
Exactly. Always fantastic to have this conversation with you, man. Look, this week looked like there was a bunch of nothing, but it's so many things, small little things going on around the world. I have five topics. Perhaps it's quickie, but I
Okay.
have five topics that are, in my view, and I will ask your opinion in the end, absolutely connected. Well, everything's kind of connected, nonetheless. But I would like to start with this topic is not related. Just wanted some updates on the shooting in Manhattan that happened just a couple of hours ago. No,
Yeah, about it's been more than 12 hours, 14 hours. But yeah, apparently the shooter was someone claimed that he had what's called CTE. Uh, what is it? Chronic traumatic encephalopathy. It's a brain disorder that was diagnosed in NFL players. It's basically a brain injury. And I guess he was going to uh, go to the NFL office and shoot it up. Went to the wrong office, killed the wrong person. He also killed a police officer and a security guard that were in the lobby. They saw him coming in with a rifle. I don't know. They just probably weren't paying attention, because you see somebody walking up with a rifle like that. I mean, good grief. And he had it hanging down to his side. So yeah, he can whip it up, but you got to be able to draw your pistol much, more rapidly than that individual and take him out. But that didn't happen.
yeah, this is a very. I didn't know. I looked quickly about that, but I didn't know that that was the situation. What caught my attention was that this building is also divided between NFL and Blackstone. But well,
Well, there were there are lots of. I mean, it's a big building, and there were
uh,
several different companies. But what they're now saying is the best they could figure out is he was going to shoot up the NFL office.
yeah, this situation with the former NFL players. Are these guys former NFL players? Did I
Oh,
get
well,
it right?
he was an athlete in high school. I'm not sure if he got into played college ball, but it doesn't appear that he was ever drafted in the NFL.
Okay, okay. What I know about this NFL thing is that it's quite recurrent that it happens. Interesting, nonetheless, that by chance Blackstone is also there. But moving on,
You mean
so
Blackstone
far
or Blackstone or Black Rock?
Blackstone, from what I read,
Yeah,
not
but
BlackRock.
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who Blackstone is.
Yeah, it's probably but isn't Blackstone what's it called? Private military company?
No, that
That's black other black thing.
yeah, no, yeah, you
Okay.
got Black Rock, the investment firm, but Blackstone, I've never heard of that.
Okay. I was mistaken. I
Sorry.
just thought about that. Yeah, that's not BlackRock. That's Blackstone. The other one is Black. I forgot the name of the military. But move away. Just wanted some update on that. I want to go to Ukraine, Larry. We have this situation with
No,
the.
you don't want to go to Ukraine.
I don't want to go to.
Stay in Italy. Don't go to Ukraine.
Well,
Sorry.
it depends. The Ukraine from now or the Ukraine when it became Russia, when it becomes Russia. Perhaps that I would like to visit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay, so
moving,
yeah, returning. Going back to Ukraine. Let's look at Ukraine.
going back to Ukraine, we have this NABU and SAP situation, which are the corruption and anti-corruption government kind of departments. And I was reading your Zona21.com your site, yes,
Right.
just today, not yesterday, today, and you wrote an article interesting about that these places were controlled by the U.S. embassy there.
Yeah, which means that probably had a heavy CIA presence in them, and um, maybe they were set up to facilitate U.S. corruption. Is one way to look at it.
So anti-corruption for Ukraine, corruption for U.S.
Yeah, this the law that was passed by the Rada, apparently at the instigation of Zelensky, provoked an immediate reaction in the West, and then all the street protests that took place. It appears that that they had local backing. Someone like Poroshenko, the former president, that put a lot of people out in the street to use this as an issue to discredit Zelensky. And Zelensky he's in trouble. We got Russian intelligence reporting, at least they're reporting it on RT today, that there's a coup plot underway in the Ukrainian government to get rid of Zelensky. So his days are numbered. What that means, though, for the future of the war, I think the war is still going to continue until the Ukrainians decide, hey, we better surrender or we're not going to survive.
What called my attention is that this decree that Zelensky was supposed to sign just came a bit after a meeting. Well, not a meeting, but the conversation with Trump. And this sounds interesting. I'll come to that back in the end.
Okay.
But this looked interesting to me to see this. What's it called? This machine, this making of a kind of a Western machine, which is seeing, and I was reading your article. Yeah, it really looks like dismantling the Western machine inside of Ukraine. I have another theory.
Trying to get control of it.
Exactly.
Right now there are. Excuse me. Right now, there is the Department of Defense, its Criminal Investigative Division, CID, has opened a criminal case on corruption inside Ukraine. They've received information from whistleblower information, or several whistleblowers have come forward to an investigator. Now, I happen to be good friends with that investigator. And that information has been turned over to DOD, and they're pursuing it. And this is a case that involves Zelensky and members of his government, as well as payments to at least 23 members of the U.S. Congress.
Wait. Are you telling me Zelensky is involved in corruption?
Yeah, I know. A shocking accusation. But
yeah. It's interesting to see these things developing right now. And while this is developing, we have the 12 days to Russia, the meeting between Trump and the UK, Chris Stormer, the UK Prime Minister, and there's this. You have Russia. You have 12 days to. It looks like The Ring, that movie, 12 days. Something like that. What do you take from that, Larry?
Well, it could. There's at least I can think of a couple of reasons. The one I think could be motivating the change in time from 50 to 12 is that the battlefield situation for Ukraine is turning so badly so quickly that Trump is trying to get a ceasefire to save what's left before they get destroyed. I think that's the only credible motivation for this, because just taking it from 50 to 12, and his threat really has no leverage. As I wrote last night, when you look at the trade data. You go back to 2021, before the start of the special military operation. There was the United States ran a trade deficit with Russia, and we were importing quite a bit. About almost $100 billion worth of goods. Fertilizer, uranium, precious metals. And Russia was importing, machine parts, tools, some other things. But with the start of the special military operation, that dropped down to now it's just like $3 billion a year, which is nothing. And in that interim period, even though they've fallen, the trade with the United States has fallen off. The Russian economy grew dramatically. It is now ranked the fourth largest in the world according to the purchasing power parity, PPP. So Trump, there's no more sanctions really to be imposed on Russia. They've already shut down about any, there's no direct travel, no credit cards, no American credit cards to be used in Russia. So, they're left with tariffs. And again, the tariffs aren't going to hurt Russia. The only way the only hope is that they're going to hurt China and India. The U.S. will hurt China and India with tariffs, and that those countries will then stop buying oil from Russia. And that's not going to happen. Those countries aren't suicidal. So this is just, Trump, I guess the polite way of saying it is talking out of his ass.
I don't know if he's talking out of his ass, but definitely his intestine went somewhere else.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
There's just no thought given. People say, "Oh, he's really thought this through. He's got a strategy." Ridiculous. If he was really being honest and objective about this, he always comments, "Oh, Russia's killing all these civilians." Well, they're not. But he never says a thing about the actual civilians that Ukraine is killing with these attacks on clearly civilian targets, not military targets.
Yeah, I was watching this video with him and Chris Stormer, and the reporter asked him about this, and he said, Russia is dropping bombs in somewhere, I don't know, Kiev, and hitting hospitals and stuff.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, this guy's the president?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I have a semi-analphabet president in my country. I'm not proud of that.
Yeah.
Listening to a president of the United States, it's quite astonishing, to be very honest. And we had Biden not too long ago. That astonished me. I'm telling you that.
Yeah, we've U.S. is, with the foreign policy issues will, I think, do win Donald Trump. So far, the domestic economically things appear to be going pretty good. But again, this whole issue with tariffs, people are saying, "Oh, see, that was overblown. That the tariffs are going to hurt the economy." Well, they're operating on the assumption that when you impose the tariff, you get an immediate negative effect on the economy, and that's not the case. It's a delayed effect, and I think we'll actually start experiencing the negative impacts from the high tariffs come September. We'll see.
Perhaps even later than that. Perhaps next year. Perhaps in 2 years from now.
It'll be. It won't be that delayed. It's, I think, end of August, 1st of September, we'll see some of the damage start to kick in.
Yeah, I totally got that. And since we're talking about Trump, well, we have a lot about Trump today. We have the Tulsi Gabbard release of the documents again on Russiagate. We kind of discussed this last week, but I wanted some updates on that, because this really points to Barack Obama. And as I was watching you, when it points to Barack Obama, it kind of points to the Clintons anyway.
Well,
How do you? Yeah. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, the documents that Tulsi's releasing really has nothing to do with the Clintons. The Clinton, Hillary Clinton's campaign, this concept of using swift voting Trump, that is an idea that they had started to develop in December of 2015. And once it became clear that Trump was the likely nominee, they ramped it up and then kicked it off. It was kicked off in May, really, to portray Trump as a stooge of Russia, or Putin's puppet. Barack Obama, he was aware of all of this, did nothing to stop it or to interfere with it, but he got actively involved after the election in trying to derail the Trump presidency. And I know that Tulsi she's collected. She has more information that she has not released that shows the extent of Barack Obama's involvement. In fact, all of the people that were in that meeting on December 6th, they were meeting inside what's called a SCIF, which is it's a secure classified information facility. And they were also communicating via text message on what they thought was an end-to-end encrypted app, so that they thought their communication was protected. It wasn't. She's got all that material now, so and so it's not she didn't have to speculate. She's got their actual messages, what they were communicating back and forth with each other that day and then in subsequent days. So that'll be part of a criminal indictment, because I think they have a grounds to go after this on what's called a RICO charge, racketeering, because they definitely were conspiring with each other to sabotage Trump.
Oh, a conspiration. So can we call it a conspiracy theory?
No, I don't like that. I don't like that term. Conspiracy theory it's a CIA word created or phrase created to discredit, to imply that anybody who's saying something involving an actual conspiracy is fabricating it. Well, this is not a theory. When you've got the actual documents, when you got the actual communications, those are called facts. That's not a theory.
That's not a theory. That's already a post theory stage. Thank you for that explanation. By the way, do you know the origin, or when did it start to pump the term conspiracy theory? Just for my education, because I read some material on that, but I would like to understand better.
What do you mean?
I read some material that a conspiracy theory was a term that exists because it's the junction of two words. It's possible that it existed before, but it was started to be used really strongly during the year of the assassination of Kennedy.
Yeah, that I don't know. I've not done any research or background on that. It's possible. Again, I don't know who originated the expression conspiracy theory, but to use it as a way to discredit people who raise legitimate questions. So and you go back to the Kennedy assassination. You've got the way the head you get it's called flooding the zone with lies. You flood it with so much information, most of it not true, that then it creates doubts about everything. And that's a deliberate strategy in order to keep people from actually looking at the reality of what happened. It's like with Kennedy and the shooting of him, attributed to Lee Harvey Oswald. Yet anybody that's ever gone to Dealey Plaza and seen where the Texas School Book Depository building is, and that here's Oswald, who is up on like the 7th floor, I think. But the angle that the bullet would be traveling down doesn't match up with the shot in Kennedy's head, as an example. So,
Yeah.
And anybody who tries to question that is immediately labeled a conspiracy theorist, that, oh, you're just making something up, instead of saying, okay, let's look at the actual forensic evidence. I know, and it's fascinating. We've got the Zapruder film, and in the Zapruder film, you can see the front half of Kennedy's head blows out. And the bullet.
That's an exit wound, right?
Yeah. But you get all these other doctors who were there claiming, oh no, the back of his head was missing. And you can see the film. I've had this argument with, I won't mention his name. He's very well known, former CIA senior officer.
I bet I can
and
think of one.
And he just, insists, no, the back of his head was blown off. And I said, look, it's right here. Look at the film. It's not the back that's blowing, it's the front. And there was one of the autopsy photos actually did show the entry wound of the bullet in the back of the head. But again, the angle of that entry wound was such that it doesn't match up with where Lee Harvey Oswald was in the Texas School Book Depository. It's likely that shot came from another building across the way. But, so again, the purpose of conspiracy theories like this is just to muddy the waters.
Yeah, exactly.
Create narratives, to create confusion and doubt, so that people don't actually find out the truth.
Exactly. Thanks for that explanation. I'll have to make a small cut just for that, so people can understand a little bit of this.
Sure.
So, still on the U.S., we have the Europe-U.S. deal with President Trump, basically, putting in Ursula's face all the deal. This is what we're going to do, and this is what you're going to accept. How do you see this, preemptive surrendering from the Europe?
Well, my understanding is whatever Ursula agreed to, she doesn't have power to deliver on. She's not sitting on the $600 billion budget. She doesn't have. She's ultimately dependent upon the other countries kicking the money in. So I saw an article last night. Finally said, hey, she's made an agreement to sell property that she doesn't own, essentially. So this is theater. They're sitting there pretending that this is really some big deal. It's not a big deal. I mean, here's the headline right now. Trump heads back to U.S. after big trade win. Europe's not one of our biggest trading partners. What the hell does Europe export to us that we need? A brie, champagne. It's not like it's a great source for industrial equipment, food, natural gas, oil. No. Europe has become economically irrelevant in the world. It is a financial center based in London, but the rest of it is just living off of a colonial legacy that's dying.
Yeah. And just yesterday, there were posts from yesterday or the day before yesterday, there were posts from each the foreign ministry. What's the guy's name from France? I forgot.
Macron?
No, the foreign ministry.
Oh,
the
I don't remember his name.
I don't remember his name. It's some blue. I'm not good at pronouncing French. Completely outraged with that. And at the same time, Marine Le Pen writing that she's completely outraged with that. So, basically, everybody in France is outraged with that. And that's a big voice in European Union.
Yeah, well, again, she's got humiliated by Trump, but she's made an agreement that she can't deliver on. That's the point. So I'm just puzzled by this. This reaction of, oh man, this is a big win for Trump. Let's see what's actually delivered. I think it'll turn out to be another nothing burger.
Nonetheless, it's a big loss for Europe, which is already being completely left by the entire world.
Yeah.
Did you see
Yeah.
the bus in China to carry the guys around?
Well, I didn't. I heard about it.
Yeah,
They didn't get limousine treatment. That's for sure.
exactly. And a lot of issues there. So here we are. Yeah, Europe being completely irrelevant to the
Yeah.
planet.
Yeah. I mean, what is it that Europe manufactures that the world needs or produces that the world needs? You know, designer clothes, Yves Saint Laurent.
Yves Saint Laurent,
You know, it just
Prada.
yeah, it's become economically irrelevant. It's not where the growth is taking place. And so you've got in the cities, they're becoming trash dumps with the flood of migrants. That started 20 years ago in Paris. Saw that firsthand compared to I was in Paris in 1996. So that's 30 years ago, and it was beautiful then. And then we went back like 10 years later, and it was like, oh, good Lord, what a change. And it's gotten worse, I understand.
Yes. I'm here in Europe for almost 11 years, and it's by the year you see dropping the quality of everything,
Mm-hmm.
including the street situation. I see it by the year. Just today, I was talking to a neighbor about this, and he was shocked that you that just arrived here, 11 years, he's been here his entire life. You has just arrived here, noticed that. And I said, yeah, because I come from a country that happened.
Yeah, well, they're just turning Europe into a favela.
Exactly. Not too far from that.
Yeah.
To be very, very, very honest. Okay, Larry, I would like to move a little bit from the United States, still related, to Brazil. We have again the 50% tariffs, the situation with the tariffs. But two things that called my attention this week was the Lula, the government, leaving the International Holocaust Remembering Alliance, which, by the way, was entered by Bolsonaro, and entering the genocide action from South Africa against Israel in the ICJ.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why not leaving. I don't see why enter in the first place, but I'm puzzled why now.
Well, I think previously, prior to the BRICS summit and the imposition of the new tariffs, that Lula probably wanted to avoid taking any kind of action on that front that would, I think he calculated would alienate and anger the Trump administration. But now that they've, basically insulted him and attacked him with the 50% tariff, he doesn't care.
Yeah, that's a point. So why now would be that would be interesting, because and all that I think is related by one reason, Larry. What I see when I see Ukraine kind of messing around with this Naboo and SAP, so basically Western machinery. Then the same time, Tulsi Gabbard exposing now Russiagates, which is something that most of us have been talking for a lot of time already. The US EU deal going around and not going particularly well for anybody. And now this Brazil thing, what I see is a very strong internal fight in the United States elites, Democrats against Republicans, and one trying to disassemble the machine from the other. What do you think about that, Larry?
Yeah, no, it's not Republican versus Democrat. It's
I oversimplified. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I'm just saying it really doesn't have anything to do with party. It's deep state versus Trump trying in some, at least there are some in Trump's administration that are trying to dismantle it. So it is, but even some of Trump's conduct of late has raised, particularly him refusing to pursue the Epstein investigation. At least it looked that way. That and his catering to these pro-war positions. The war, launching the attacks in Iran, and getting more bellicose in his rhetoric towards Ukraine, just raises some real concerns that, he talked a good game about opposing the deep state, but some fear that maybe he's a captive of it. But there definitely is a entrenched bureaucracy that is fighting to preserve a status quo that is destroying the United States.
Okay, so not exactly. Oh, I oversimplified when I said Democrats against Republicans. I oversimplified for the oligarchy or the elites behind these groups, which that would be a question I would like to ask you, Larry, because I don't exactly understand this, but I know the globalists, all this woke thing, people, Soros, all these guys,
Yeah.
and then you have the MAGAs from the other side, which are and I understand that in the middle there is some part of the oligarchy or the big elites that play both games. Is there a conflict of interest between two really distinct big guys on this game, like military complex against technocrats?
I don't know about that. I'm always hesitant to ascribe anything to a secret cabal, but there's really sort of irrefutable proof that there are people making decisions that are not public, but that it wield enormous power. Something as simple as this getting how Barack Obama came out of nowhere to suddenly become this seemingly savior of America, turned out to be a complete fraud. We're seeing it in Paris with this whole the book. Xavier Poussard, who actually lives there in Italy now, a French journalist, has just published a book called Becoming Brigitte. And and in that book he presents what I find is very credible, persuasive evidence that Brigitte was actually born a male and transitioned somewhere around the age of 18, 19, 20, and has lived life as a woman. But then the origin story of Emmanuel Macron, it was not like he was some wunderkind, some genius financial guy. He got into the Rothschild bank, and he was for whatever reason was favored by David Rothschild, and all of a sudden then he gets put in as president. Again, the guy had no accomplishments that would have merited have been recognized as this extraordinarily talented human being. So it's just, we look at things like that. There's a lot of manipulation going on to maintain, I think, financial control. And BRICS now represents a direct threat to that Western control.
Exactly. And we see this kind of Macronish things kind of everywhere.
Right, right.
We have the same in Brazil. Bolsonaro is an example. Lula is an example. We have these examples from, everywhere.
Yeah. So it's concerning.
It's very concerning. It's very concerning. Larry, I think I have... No, yeah, of course. I would like to finish with Israel and Gaza, the situation in Gaza. Just, the last week, I've seen a lot of posts from the IDF, which I call ITF. You understand why.
Yeah.
Of soldiers dying in Gaza and in the Golan Heights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
Wasn't all these places controlled and all done? War's over. We destroy. We won.
yeah, no, it is. You've got a growing number of suicides among Israeli soldiers. That number is growing, not diminishing. The international pressure is really ratcheted up on Israel because of these images of all these children starving to death, and you're seeing emaciated figures that are reminiscent of those that came out of the concentration camps in Germany, like Buchenwald, Bergen-Belsen, the Sachsenhausen, Dachau. Just human. They look like walking skeletons, and so now that's created. It's really fomenting a greater division inside Israel itself. So the Israeli society, they've lost their complete moral authority. And still, the world is not doing much to make that stop. All we do know is that after 23 months, Israel, despite having every military advantage in the world, has been unable to defeat Hamas.
And Hezbollah. And Iran.
Yeah.
And, well, Al Jalani not so much, but
yeah.
basically everyone around. That's concerning this, like, just to finish, and I'll let you get out of here, I promise. Israel is constantly alleging that Hamas is controlling the humanitarian aid.
Yeah, that's not true.
And it's shooting people.
Yeah.
While we see some other things around. What is the truth in there?
Yeah, no, it's a Israeli, Zionist propaganda to discredit Hamas. And again, the constant refrain of Hamas is this big terrorist organization. Well, let's go back and look at say, okay, tell me, let's show the specific incidents of quote terrorism. Many of those that Hamas killed on October 7th in 2023 were military. They attacked military targets, people that had guns and tanks. So that shouldn't even count as terror. That's not terrorism. That's a guerrilla insurgency. We in the United States celebrate our guerrilla insurgency in 1776 against the Brits, but by the definitions we use today, every one of my ancestors was a terrorist.
That's a dangerous game to play with words.
Yeah.
Very dangerous game to play with words. Larry Johnson, everybody. Larry Johnson, thank you very much, man. Once again, everybody, remember to follow us and Larry. All the links are on the description if you're watching on the Press of Mass Destruction. If you're watching on Larry Johnson, come to meet the channel. If you speak English, well, 95% of the content you won't understand. But come to meet the channel. Follow Larry on sonar21.com, where you find all his interviews and conversations with great people like Nima, the judge, Danny Davis. What's her name?
Let's not forget Nima.
That was the first one that I said. Nima, the judge,
okay.
Danny Davis, and Anya. I haven't watched Anya for a while.
Yeah, she's something's happened to her. I'm not sure what. She won't. Oh. She stopped communicating with me. It's very, very strange. Just doesn't answer emails.
Okay, now we have to find Anya.
Yeah.
If anyone has any news about Anya, please let us know in the comments. We have to find her.
Yes.
Larry, thank you very much, man.
All right, Marcelo.
See you next week.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.